Well, hello everyone, this is Jeff Clark with another unboxing video. It's my first one of 2018, so Happy New Year to everyone. Let's see what we got here. Now, I ordered this model from Easy Toys back in September, the latter part of September, and in the pre-order phase, and it showed up just a few days after the new year started, so it's taken a few months to get here, 3-4 months, but I'm glad it's here. Let's have a look here. Plenty of packaging, which is always a nice thing. Now this is a InFlight model, InFlight 200. The model number is A340-313X. This is an Airbus A340-300 in the Mirpuri Foundation livery for Swiss Space Systems, and this is a 1/200 scale model. Let's have a look here at what we got. And I just happened to see this model in a spotting video and was really interested in learning more about it because it's just really cool looking. And then when it came available to order, I went ahead and had it come along get on the way here. So let's have a look here. And there she sits in the box. And InFlight and Aviation Retail Direct give us these little limited edition cards to go with their models, just to kind of add a little bit of extra interest. And I always put those in the cabinet so that I can take a look at them. Let me give you a bit of history about the High Fly Airline. They were established in Portugal in 2005. They have 8 of the A340-300s, and they also operate 5 A330s and 1 A321. They don't have a particularly large fleet, and they do a lot of wet and dry leasing of their aircraft to different airlines, government organizations, military types of deployments like that. So they're kind of a different egg in the market there. They do operate a number of regular flights, so this particular aircraft registration, which is 9H-TQM, does seem to operate a fairly normal schedule, maybe somewhat less than most commercial airlines would run, but it does seem to travel from New York to various locations in Europe and such like. Now this particular registration was painted in this black livery, this Mirpuri Foundation livery, sometime in 2016, I believe, and this was a result of an agreement with Swiss Space Systems to fly zero-G flights in sometime around starting in 2017. I'm not sure if they started doing that yet, but that may be related to their interesting flight schedule from various places in Europe and around. The plan was to run this as a zero-G flight, doing about 90-minute flights with 15 parabolic cycles, usually lasting about 20 to 25 seconds to give you that zero-G feeling. And they really wanted to make this accessible to people, and they're going to offer a much cheaper way to do that. So that would be kind of interesting to check out. It's just really cool to look at it because it has that all black livery. Let's look at the stand here. Now all the other manufacturers seem to be going with the metal stand these days. However, InFlight and Aviation Retail Direct seem to be the only ones that still have the plate, and that's going to really set them apart because they do make really nice models. I've been happy with every one of the ones I've got. I've got 747s, A340s, A330s, and they are a real player in the market in terms of the quality of their models. We have the landing gear in its own separate package, which we can see here, and we'll go ahead and put those in sometime later in the video. InFlight and Aviation Retail Direct do a really nice job with their gear as well, so that also sets them apart as well, which is kind of nice. We've got a layer of protective plastic actually over the top of the wings here. Maybe it was supposed to be this way, I'm not sure. And let's get this out. These are the the tools to take the gear out or to take the covers out if you're using the in-flight configuration. And there's a little door for the landing gear there. We have the metal riser for the stand, so we'll have to put that together, and they do a pretty nice job with the stand. There's no need for the pad at the top because it's not how the actual model sits on the stand. It doesn't have a flat recess area. Now I'm already seeing some issue here. Considering this is a new model, it looks, I don't know if you can see all this on the paint here at the tail. I'm not sure what that's about, but it looks like it's been wiped down maybe with some kind of solvent, and that's caused some transfer. Kind of seems like it might come off, but we'll have to have a look and see if that polishes up. See some other marks. Just looks like coloration from maybe being handled but prior to being packaged. Well, that's the first that I've seen that, so. So we can see we've got the operated by HiFly here on the nose there. And we've got nice detail of the radome cover and the windshield wipers. We have our pitot tubes, the L1 door and the mechanism to operate it. This particular window is marked out in the emergency access paint scheme. Then we have numerous illumination lights, and then we have our static port there. I'm guessing this is probably pressure release valve here, and possibly that as well. You can really see how much sort of residue there is, whatever that is. We'll have to give it a good polish and see if we can clean it up. Inboard landing light does not have a jewel, as we've seen some of the other manufacturers doing. Another escape hatch. Our third fuselage door. Escape access. And then our L4 door, as well as our registration 9H-TQM, the Mirapuri Foundation for a Better World. Now, Paolo Mirapuri is the president and CEO of HiFly, so that's why he's got his Mirapuri Foundation on there. And this aircraft was painted black for the Swiss Space Systems to do their parabolic flights, which really sets it apart. It's kind of like when you see the Air New Zealand, it's just the all black livery. It just really comes across nicely. It's very interesting to look at. So while I haven't flown on this, it might be something in the future if you ever want to do a parabolic flight. Which would be kind of fun. It's got the S3, the Swiss Space Systems, on the tail. Here's the exhaust for the auxiliary power unit, which is located behind these doors, and they've done a really nice job of painting these markings on there. That's really cool. Again, more of that residue. There's our tail illumination light. It'll also be a strobe light on the tail somewhere just below the auxiliary power unit. I don't see any markings for that, but it is an actual hull, so that gives it a little bit of extra quality to its look. Got the starboard side here, operated by HiFly again. The black really shows off the LD3 cargo loading door very well. You can really see the mechanism and the buttons and such. There's also a couple of static ports there to the right, and a couple more static ports. There are 3 more static ports here. 2 more illumination lights. These are probably nacelle inspection lights, so they would shine out towards each of the 2 engines so that they can be examined. Another entry door, and you see the line above it, which is the drip rail for the, so that the passengers don't get wet coming in and out the door. Got our emergency entrance and exit here. Our R3 door, the mirror pulley for a better world. Here's our second LD3 loading door, cargo loading door, and then a bulk bin door. The aft door. And they get really nicely detailed on the mechanism for opening the door, which is cool. I'm thinking this is, although I'm not really sure, it's kind of hard to tell what it says above that. It could be the access for the intake for the auxiliary power unit, so a door that would open to allow the auxiliary power unit to get air to burn. Let's look on the top here. Really nice, that all black S3 there, so cool. We have 2 VHF antennas, auto direction finder, and these are raised, so there's 3D. That's really cool. That really sets a model apart, is when that's not just painted on. You can see them sticking up. Then a dual antenna. Then we also have a raised SATCOM antenna, and 2 more antennas. I think this one's VHS. There's going to be a traffic collision avoidance system antenna, and also a air traffic control antenna. Sometimes these are just done in the paintwork, as you can see here, where they're not actually raised up. Nice view of the cockpit windows there. Let's look at the underside of the aircraft as well. So we have the hole for the nose gear and the doors. This is the emergency escape port. There's a little ladder that comes down from a bay below the cockpit. Numerous additional antennas. So there'll be multiple traffic collision avoidance system antennas and distance measuring equipment antennas, as well as more VHF antennas, drains for air conditioning systems. Oh, that's really cool, the space for all. I didn't know that had that on the bottom. That's really neat. The doors for the main gear, including in the center. This aircraft has a center bogie with 2 wheels on it. On the A300 or A340-300 series has a twin gear here, and then on the A340-600 it has 4 wheels there. The hole for the stand, and our in-flight label. Pressure release valve. We got a couple more antennas here in 3 dimension. Very nice. I really like to see those features included in the model, because I think they really give it a bit more credibility. Let's have a look at these wings here. And they've done really nice work with the hinges on the flaps there, spoilers, ailerons. We've got this wingtip with the Swiss flag. Now bear in mind this is a Portuguese carrier, so this is in their Swiss space systems. This uses the CFM56 5C4 engine, which generates 34,000 pounds of thrust. And you can see on the side the markers for the thrust reversers. The A340-300 uses this flap style thrust reverser, whereas the 600 uses a standard blocker door mechanism like you see on most Boeing aircraft. Nice view of the slats there. The nacelle is done really nicely where it meets the engine. Good detail of the paintwork there. On the underside we see the flap track fairings. Nice paintwork on the engine. They've really done quite a nice job with the livery, just kind of making it as interesting as possible, so that's kind of neat. Got a good view of those flaps there. Here's our fuel dump valve. A little debris there, we'll have to see if that polishes off. And our ailerons. And our registration 9H-TQM. Now this aircraft has a very interesting kind of history. It was originally, its first flight was August 25th, 1995, and it was delivered, its first original order was to Singapore Airlines, and it was delivered to them October 26, 1996. It's about 22 years old. Then it's kind of jumped around to different carriers, including Etihad, and back to High Fly again, and in and out of High Fly's hands, I think on numerous wet leases or maybe dry leases that they were doing. It's had 7 different registrations, and its most recent delivery into High Fly's hands was September 15th, 2015. So it's been painted in a number of different liveries, and then this one was painted after the agreement with Swiss Space Systems. So as I said, they got 8 of these A340-300s in different liveries and locations. And then on the top of the wings we also have the "Do not walk outside of this area" warning, written right side up and upside down so it can be viewed from whatever direction. It's hard to see, but it's amazing they got that painted on there. I'm not sure what this marking is here. I think they also have a lash point for safety, and that could be what that is, but I'm not exactly sure. It's too small to read. Well, I'm going to give this thing a polish and see how shiny I can get it, and that will really determine whether this is a nice model or not. And then I'll also put the gear on and get the stand put together, so we'll see how it looks here shortly. Okay, well, I gave this thing a little bit of a polish and it didn't really make any difference. I also noticed when giving it a close look, you might be able to see there's these scratches that are running along the top of the fuselage. Kind of hard to see there, but. And then I also noticed another one here on the bottom. So really disappointing, considering that all these models have pretty much come out fine before. This is the area where I tried to remove or polish it up a little bit, and while some of the white discoloration did go away, it just revealed that the space underneath doesn't have any gloss to it. It's as though it doesn't have any shine there. This is the better looking side. This is you can see around the root there of the vertical stabilizer. Quite a lot of residue here. Again, more residue here along the fuselage just above the wing there. So yeah, I think it must have been wiped down with some kind of solvent in the factory by accident or something, because that just doesn't come off. Let's look at the gear here. A little bit of tilt. They do roll. They've done a really nice job with the gear, so they're actually metal parts, so they work very well. And the center gear has a strut that's included there, so you can see that go into the fuselage. And they fit in there very nicely. Put the nose gear on. And the nose gear does have the partial registration. A nice amount of detail there. However, we don't have any jewel lighting like we see with JC Wings and with Gemini, which is something that I think InFlight should start considering to do. Again, this is metal and it does turn. And they do roll pretty decent. I'll put the stand together. Fits in there kind of loose. And it doesn't really sit straight on the stand. It really wants to kick over. You can kind of see if I center it up. It wants to just kind of kick over to this kind of position. Now, I've been putting my models, I don't use the stand anymore. If I do have a stand for it that's interesting, then I will display it next to the model. So as I would in this case. It really doesn't have any angle on it at all, so I can't really see what the purpose of the stand is, because you can't really mimic any kind of position of flight other than maybe just cruise in this case, but with the gear on it doesn't really count. So overall, very nice model. If it was in perfect condition, it would be an amazing model. Unfortunately, it's not. So hopefully we can get something done about it. I would rather have it in fine condition than to get some kind of discount on it. So now this aircraft only has 70 seats in this configuration for the parabolic flights. So it has basically a business class or a higher VIP 12 seats in VIP, premium economy style seating 28 of those, and then an economy style seating in 40 seats. So obviously a lot of the aircraft is turned over to having it be nice and wide open so that people have a lot of space to move around. Now the length of this aircraft is 208 feet 11 inches. Maximum takeoff weight is 610,000 pounds, and maximum fuel capacity is 263,000 pounds of fuel. I mean, that's just crazy. 130 tons, 7,300 nautical mile range, and the wing length is about 90 feet, and the total wingspan is 197 feet 10 inches. The height of the tail is 55 feet 6 inches. So very substantial aircraft. This is the second A340-300 model I have in my collection, and the other one is of a Scandinavian Airlines system 340 that I rode on here earlier this year. So this one will be a nice one to get in the collection, and hopefully we can get this sorted out pretty soon with the paint work. And let's check out these gears as well, or the turbo fans, and see if they spin. Also notice that this one engine, number 2 engine here, has a differently colored nose or cone sort of cowling. I'm not sure why it's painted that way. It is that is the case on the real aircraft, so it does have that same coloration. I've seen a number of pictures of it. So blow a little air in here. That one kind of wanted to turn a little bit. Not really. They probably would turn if I just turned them by hand, but I really don't like to stick too many things in there because I worry about breaking one of the fans. But they do have a nice amount of detail on them. They're just not really loose enough where they can spin freely. But they do look pretty nice. Again, happy with the model itself, just not happy with this specific one with the paint problem. When you got an all black car, it's just like anything else. It's the one that's the hardest to keep clean. But I really would rather it be in much better condition, especially straight out of the box. So hopefully that's just bad luck, and we can get some kind of alternate solution to that. But again, thanks a lot for watching. Appreciate it, and we'll let you know, keep you updated whether I get a replacement for this or not. All right, thanks again.